Future engineers, welcome to the School of Engineering, Graphics and Design. In this video, we will discuss the 2026 Engineering, Graphics and Design Practical Task, PED. Have you tried tackling it? If not, don't worry, because the School of EGD got you. So, stay tuned and don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment.
If you're tackling grade 12 engineering, graphics, and design, then you already know the PAT, the practical assessment task, is pretty much the biggest thing you'll work on all year. So let's break it down. We're going to dive deep into the 2026 PAT and figure out exactly how you can crush it. And hey, just so you know, everything we're about to cover comes straight from the top, the official guidelines from the Department of Basic Education. This isn't guesswork. This is your official roadmap. So you can trust that what you're hearing is exactly what you need to know.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics, what the PSAT even is. Then we'll look at the three-phase structure, how you pick your project, the super important rules you've got to follow, and finally, how it's all graded. By the end of this, you'll have a perfectly clear picture of the whole shebang.
So let's kick things off with section 1. What is the PAT? Let's get into the what, and maybe even more importantly, the why. Okay, so the Practical Assessment Task, or PAT, is a project you absolutely have to do. It's compulsory. See, its main job is to test all the cool skills that a normal sit-down exam just can't measure. You know, things like your actual design thinking from start to finish, and of course, the quality of your drawing work. Now, why should you care so much? Well, this is why. The PAT makes up a massive 25%, a full quarter of your final mark. We're talking 100 marks here. The official guide even calls it a third EGD exam paper. So yeah, this isn't some little side project. It's a huge part of your final grade. Okay, a project this big can feel a little overwhelming, right? But don't worry, it's actually broken down into a really clear blueprint. So let's jump into section 2, the three-phase blueprint. Think of this as your map for the entire journey. The whole PAT is neatly split into 3 manageable phases. Phase 1 is all about the design process, the thinking part. Phase 2 is where you get down to business preparing your formal drawings. And Phase 3 is when you bring it all together in your final portfolio. This structure is there to guide you step by step from a blank page to your finished project. Let's zoom in on Phase 1 for a second. This is where all the creative and strategic magic happens. You'll start by really digging into the scenario they give you. Then you'll write up a design brief, do some research, and start sketching out your ideas with freehand drawings. Finally, you'll pick your best solution and get ready to run with it.
But wait, before you can even start Phase 1, you've got a pretty big decision to make. Which brings us to our next section, choosing your project. Are you team civil or team mechanical?
You've got 2 options, but you only have to do one. PAT1 is a civil design project, and for 2026, it's got an electrical component mixed in. PA2 is a straight-up mechanical design project. You'll make this call with your teacher, so really think about where your skills and interests are. To give you a better idea of what that means, check this out. This is an example from the civil PMT. You'd be asked to design a new building on a site plan that they give you, kind of like this one here. It really gives you a feel for the kind of real-world problems you'll get to solve. All right, once you've picked your project, you need to know the rules of the game. So let's get into the next section, the rules of engagement. This is all about how to stay on track and out of trouble. First up, time management is everything. The deadlines are non-negotiable. Phase 1 has to be done before Term 2 starts. Phase 2 needs to be in the bag before Term 3, and Phase 3, your portfolio, gets wrapped up during Term 3. Stick to this timeline. So how much time do you actually get for all this? Well, the total allocated time for the whole PAT is a maximum of 20 hours. That includes your time in class and any extra time at school. So you've really got to make every single hour count. Okay, listen up, because this next slide is incredibly important. The keyword is authenticity. All of the work has to be 100% yours. The PAT is an individual project, no group work at all. You can't share or copy anything. And get this, besides the research part, all of the work has to be done at school. You'll even have to sign a declaration of authenticity, saying you followed all these rules. Okay, so you've done all the work, you follow the rules, but how is it all marked? Let's dive into our final section, how you'll be graded. It's time to understand the scorecard. Whoa, would you look at that? A massive 50% of your mark comes from the correctness of your final drawings. Half. The design process and your drawing methods are worth 25% each. So what's the takeaway here? The process is important for sure, but you need to spend a serious amount of time making those final drawings absolutely perfect, because that's where the big marks are.
So what does it take to get those top marks? Well, the standard is seriously high. To get full marks, your work has to be described as outstanding. It needs to be correct, follow all the standards, and, well, it basically needs to be error-free. When you're aiming for a 10 out of 10, think perfection.
And what about partial marks? This quote from the guide gives us the inside scoop. For something worth 2 marks, you'll get 1 mark if your answer shows at least 30% of what they're looking for. But to get the full 2 marks, you gotta show at least 80%. It has to be really good.
Now, to make sure the marking is fair for everyone across the country, your patch goes through something called moderation. It just means an external person comes in and checks a sample of your school's projects. They're making sure the marking is consistent, and they'll adjust scores if there's a big difference. It's just a quality check, really. So after all that, what's the big idea? What's the point? The PAT isn't just about getting a grade. It's your chance to show that you can take what you've learned in class and actually apply it to solve a real-world problem. It's about connecting your skills to life beyond the classroom walls. And that brings us to the end. Yeah, this project is 25% of your final mark, but it's 100% a test of your skill. It's your chance to prove you can do this for real. So, the only question left is, are you ready to build?